Okay, so the next segment we're going to talk about is fevers. Kids get fevers. It's part of life. Okay, I want to designate this right now. A fever is 100.4 and higher. That means 99.8 is not a fever. It's not. It's 100.4. This is an issue that we have frequently where I work, that they have a fever of 99.1. It's not a fever. It's 100.4. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that? I'm going to move on. Okay,
no.
so...
Well, first, let's talk, what is a fever? So it's when you just kind of explained that. when the baby's temperature gets high, it's starting to feel warm, then you can tell something's not right.
And they're uncomfortable.
Right, they're going to be crying.
Right, because how do you feel when you have a fever? You don't feel good.
Right.
You, probably have a headache, too.
Right.
Kind of
so it's important to know, though, fevers are not bad. Right, a fever actually means that your baby's immune system is working, that it's functioning properly. It's going to fight off. It usually is a sign of infection.
Right.
So it means that your baby's immune system is working to fight off that infection. So it's the body's natural response to fighting off infection. Okay, so it's not a bad sign.
Right. It's normal and natural, and be excited almost that your body's immune system or your baby's body is.
It's working.
It's working. So great job.
Right. But at the same time, your baby's probably crying and uncomfortable and not feeling very good. So let's talk about how to tell if it actually is a fever.
Okay. So
solutions.
This is my area. So at the hospital, the most accurate way to take a temperature is rectally. That means you stick the probe into their bum hole. I don't know the best way to say that for you, but into their bum, and you take the temperature. That is the most accurate. Is it my favorite? No. Because I don't feel like doing that all of the time, even though they have me do
that. It's a crappy job.
Yes, ma'am. So, moving on, you are welcome to do that. If you're comfortable with it, then do it. You're going to get the most accurate reading. The next way is to do an axillary temperature, or the armpit temperature. You can use one of these. You can technically use one of these for rectal. I recommend having some sort of a probe cover over it, and most of them, if they need that, you can do that. Or you can be super diligent in bleaching these suckers, but everybody, I would say, get sent home with a thermometer, and if not, ask your nurse for one, or just
go buy
one. You can just buy them from the store. But axillary is not, it's the easiest, it really is, but it's not the most accurate. So I have actually had situations where a child's axillary temperature was totally normal, 98.
What's axillary?
Oh, sorry, armpit temperature.
Armpit, maybe
sorry.
Maybe you said it.
Yes, so having it be like 98.6, 98.7, and then taking their, it's ready, and it's low.
And this would go up and down, right? It goes under the arm,
so you
up
actually
and down.
would do it like this.
Sideways, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you would do it like that.
Okay.
And then had a rectal temperature like within 2 minutes and had it be 102. So it's not the most accurate. The next best thing is to do under the tongue. The child has to be able to hold it underneath their tongue. You can't like smash it in there.
It's hard to do with a little baby.
Yeah. I, however, found that this, I'm not advertising for him, but this is my 13-year-old thermometer, and it is an ear thermometer. You stick it in, you push the button, you wait like 2 seconds, and you get your read. So I really, really like this one for taking it. And I personally, especially with this one, have found that it is accurate, because I've done it other ways, not rectally, because I haven't done that on my children. I haven't had a reason to. Again, you can do that. But I found this to be very good. You can also do the temporal, which is where you probably see those a lot, especially during like COVID, everybody's taking your temperature.
Right.
But they have some that you can actually go down underneath the earlobe. I've used those. I think they're good, but for kids, rectally is going to be your most accurate.
So where do we get this?
Anywhere. Walmart, Target.
Amazon.
CVS, Amazon, don't even leave the house, that's even better.
Yeah.
But really, any pharmacy will have one of these, but it's my favorite. But you can get a thermometer anywhere. anywhere. You can even go into the emergency department or to your pediatrician and just say, I just need a thermometer. And I'm willing to bet that they'll just give you one. Like, they hand these out like Smarties.
Halloween. All right. So now we've confirmed your baby actually does have a fever. What should we
panic.
do? Yeah.
Don't panic. That's okay.
Yeah. It's all good. We just want to help them get as comfortable as possible so their body can do what it needs to do.
Right.
Okay. So lots of fluids is a must. Making sure they're well hydrated, whether you're breastfeeding or whether they're.
I think that is probably the most important part of a fever. So babies have a smaller surface area, so they're going to lose fluid a lot faster than you or me as an adult would. Keep them hydrated. If your baby is not breastfed, then whatever it is that they are drinking, if they're doing normal foods, you can do juices. Watered down is probably better. Whatever they want to drink, let them drink it. Keep them hydrated.
Right. And how do we know if they're getting enough? Check their diaper.
So yes, if they are peeing, then they're doing fine. If they're doing normal diapers for you, then they're doing fine. If they are still drooling fine, their mouth is still moist, and that's all a good sign that they are hydrated. Keep them hydrated, you'll be fine.
Right. Another one is sleep. Okay, when they rest, their body's able to make more of those healthy fighting off blood cells. So rest, sleep,
Very
super important.
Please don't leave the house with your sick child.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it, including them. They just want to stay home and cuddle and do nothing.
Clear your schedule. The to-do list will always be there. This is time for you to snuggle your mommy. I was thinking about when I was a kid. I just wanted my mommy.
Right.
So yeah,
It's true.
yeah. You always want your mommy when you don't
When
feel
I'm
good.
sick, I want my mom.
Yes,
right?
still. I'm like,
To this
Mom, yeah. Okay, if you're concerned that their temperature is getting a little bit too hot, a nice bath, stripping them of their clothes and just getting them in some cool water. Not cold.
Not
just
cold.
Yeah.
You don't want them to shiver.
Right.
Shivering is not what you're looking for.
That can make them more tired.
Right, and you also don't want it to be hot. And the best way to do it is do it just like a lukewarm, and then you can sponge them off. You'll be amazed at how quickly their temperature will drop.
Yeah, it'll go down quickly. It'll make them feel so much better. And then, do you want to talk about dressing them comfortably?
Gosh.
I know you see some strange things in ER.
If your child has a fever, don't put every winter item they have on them and then put an extra hat just in case. Let them be naked, or, I mean, they're staying in your house, right? Like if it's cold outside, that's fine. Have your house in an appropriate temperature so that they can be in a onesie. Babies look so cute in those little onesies.
They do.
Oh, I just love them. They're so cuddleable.
Yeah.
But just keep them dressed comfortably so that they can relax. Do not bundle them up in a blanket. If you feel like they really need something, or they're a swaddling baby, then make sure that you do like a really thin sheet would be good. Just something to keep them from getting even more hot.
Right. You don't need to rack up the temperature.
That's right.
So an essential oil that I love for fevers is peppermint. This is just really easy to use. You can use it straight out of the bottle or dilute it and just rub this right on the bottoms of their feet. Right on the bottoms of their feet, and it should bring it down really quickly. And again, you can use this as often as needed. Just, as you're taking their temperature, if you feel like they're getting too warm and you need to cool them off, help them feel a little better, peppermint is the way to go. So
perfect. Okay. Yep. And of course, my nurse side of it says Motrin and Tylenol. Wanted to make a note that Motrin and ibuprofen, not ibuprofen, but ibuprofen are the same thing, and Tylenol and acetaminophen are the same thing. So don't stress over that, but I always start with Motrin. You guys know this probably by now. I do Motrin, then 3 hours later, if they're 6 months and older, Motrin, 3 hours later Tylenol, 3 hours later Motrin again. If they haven't hit 6 months, then Tylenol works just fine. Yeah, I think that's what I do, but you've got to stay on top of that, because again, if you gave Motrin yesterday at 2 o'clock and their fever's back, number one, that's not a reason to go to the emergency department. That's a reason to give them Motrin and stay on schedule, maybe even through the duration of whatever viral process they are going through.
Right. So how do we know when to go to the doctor? When is it like, okay, this fever's not going away. It's getting way too high. You know, we've stripped them. We did the bath. We did the peppermint oil. It's still getting higher and higher. They're crying more. What do we do?
So my first thought truly is check their ears, because it could be an ear infection, and then you may need to go see the doctor for that. Also, if you really aren't able to control a fever and it's going up instead of down, if it comes down and then goes back up, that's normal because the medicine's going to wear off.
Right.
But if it's not even coming down, then that's a reason to check out the pediatrician and see what they think. Have them look over your baby. Also, if things are going on for more than 5 days, I would definitely go in.
Yeah. For sure.
That, like, you need to keep them comfortable though, and you will find that more times than not, if they get medicated or their fever at least comes down, they are going to feel worlds better, and they will be playful. They will want to drink. They may not want to eat yet, which is no big deal. We worry about hydration. They'll eat when they're ready, but focus on fluids. Focus on getting them comfortable, and they'll probably come back around and be your normal baby, at least until their fever returns, if it's going to return at all.
Right. So baby's got a fever.
Yep.
It's not going away.
Yep.
Time to take him to the doctor. What's the doctor going to do?
Okay, so the doctor with a fever is going to check the ears. You already know about that. They're going to listen to their lungs. They're going to basically just assess the baby and see if they can figure out what's wrong. And then they're going to do this. They are going to prescribe ibuprofen and Tylenol. The most expensive ibuprofen and Tylenol on the planet, simply because it's in the emergency department. And then after they do that, they are going to give your child something to drink or encourage them to breastfeed, and they're going to wait for that ibuprofen and Tylenol to kick in.
And a popsicle too,
and,
right?
And a popsicle, if they can eat a popsicle. It's like the standard thing, ibuprofen and a popsicle. And then you're going to wait and wait and wait for that hour and 15 to kick in, and they're going to recheck your baby's temperature, and they're going to recheck your baby's heart rate, and if they've both come down to the level that's appropriate for that doctor to feel good, they're going to send you home. So my rule of thumb is Motrin, 3 hours later, Tylenol, all during that, give them something to drink that might be cold, like a popsicle, which would be delicious. On a side note, if your baby is 28 days or younger, they shouldn't really have a fever. It's their immune system isn't built up enough to be fighting anything off. So if that's the case, relax, it's gonna be okay. But I would go to the emergency department, and the only reason I say that is you can go to the pediatrician, but 9 times out of 10 your pediatrician's gonna say, actually, why don't you head down to the emergency department? And the reason for that is simply we have in the emergency department more testing capabilities than you would have at your pediatrician's office, and they want to make sure that they want to make sure it is just a virus that's going to go away on its own, but they're going to run a few extra tests to basically cover all of the bases to make sure that your baby stays healthy and safe.
So they're not,
don't stress.
Right. So they're
28
not
days, just
28
go to
days
the
and
ER.
younger, just go to the ER. Okay, so if they're older than that, then try to set up an appointment with your pediatrician if possible.
Yes.
For an urgent care.
Avoid the emergency room.
At all costs.
At all costs. Don't go there. Call your pediatrician. And even if you finally get an appointment and your child's feeling better, but you just want to double check, then go to your pediatrician appointment. And bonus, the doctor is going to ask you to set up that appointment as well as you're walking out of the emergency department with Tylenol and ibuprofen on board.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
we're
We're good with fevers.
Okay.
Yep.